We will be giving you our 2025 MLB predictions. My name is Lamar. I'm joined, as always, by Zach. How are you doing?
Great.
And this is a relaunch, kind of the Binge Boys podcast. We did some stuff in the past, and it became hard to do it. I had to have the podcast come out because we didn't know what to talk about. But now we have a sole focus for you. The Atlanta Braves. That is all we'll be talking about. Every week we will be giving you a podcast episode about some Atlanta Braves news, whatever it is to pertain to that week. But today we've got our 2025 MLB predictions. This is all of the standing predictions, our World Series winners, and of course MLB awards, such as the MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, and Manager of the Year, and then some specific Braves predictions. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. Starting off with the AL East. Zach, who do you have finishing last?
In the NL East, it has to be the Marlins again. I mean, there's no way you can look at that roster and say that's not a fifth place roster. Honestly, you can make a case that they may actually have the worst roster in the MLB. They're bottom three for sure. It's just not going to be a good year. Alcantara's probably going to be moved at the deadline. There's no way you can't justify putting them last.
All right, well, I guess we'll be doing the NL East instead. Let's go over to the NL East. Since we want to do that, what a start. I also have the Marlins. I agree with pretty much every point you said. Their roster just isn't MLB ready. And when your best player is a guy coming off of Tommy John, not saying that Sandy Alcantara is bad in any way. It's just you have a lot of uncertainties about, is he still the same pitcher after Tommy John? And I don't think there's any debate that he is the best player on that team. It's a little interesting. My number 4 team is the Nationals. This is not really a bad thing for the Nationals. It's just showing you how good the NL East is. They've got a lot of young talent on that team, such as James Wood and Dylan Cruz, and I think James Wood in particular could have a huge breakout year this year. And they could be fighting around for that wild card spot, kind of like how the AL Central was for the 4th place team was still in it. I just don't think it's quite yet time for them, especially with how stat the other 3 teams are.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I have the Nationals also finishing 4th. They have a great core to build around. I know you laugh at me. I think Mackenzie Gore will be one of the best pitchers in the MLB at some point in his career. Just don't know when. But overall, the division's just too good for them to jump up to that 3rd spot. I do think in a 2-3 year, this time 2 and 3 years, I think they will be contending for those playoff spots in the NL. I just don't think right now they have the roster to do it. I'm 3rd, or I go again, right?
Yeah, Snake.
Okay, so 3rd place, I have the Mets. Granted, they just spent $360 million on a DH, in my opinion. Overall, their lineup, it's a really good lineup. I just don't think that rotation or that bullpen is good enough to do anything in this division. When your opening day starter is Clay Holmes, that's a big red flag right there.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing there as well with the Mets being 3rd. I think you've pretty much said everything about the rotation-wise. I'm a little concerned with the lineup, though, as well. Of course, you've got the top half of that lineup, which is excellent, that features Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto. I mean, that could possibly be billed up as one of the best 1-2 punches in baseball, maybe only behind Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani. But I think past that, when you start looking at the team a little bit further, their second baseman is probably going to be Jeff McNeil, and nothing against Jeff McNeil. He just hasn't been the best. Last year you had Mark Vientos, and maybe Mark Vientos continues to improve, but the most likely thing that's going to happen is he's going to take a step back. Alvarez took a step back as well. Maybe he'll be back to where he usually plays, but I think overall the team just isn't as good as people think. They made the huge signing of Juan Soto, but you look at that rotation, and again, Clay Holmes is your opening day starter. You have nothing at the starting position or the starting pitcher position that I really say, oh yeah, they scare me. They have Kodai Senga, who hasn't been as effective as he was in his first season in the MLB. I just think overall, it's not really much that makes me go, that is a great, great team and a definite playoff team. At number 2, and one of my wild card teams, I have the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, this one is going to come down to the wire, in my opinion, because there's not really a lot of holes them or the first place team the Braves have, especially given with the Phillies' rotation. That 1-2 punch of Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola is absolutely incredible, and their lineup is good as well. I just think I really can't say anything about why they're not going to finish first. I just think it comes down to someone's got to finish first, someone's got to finish second, and it may not be a problem. It probably will, actually, honestly, will probably come down to injuries, but I'm not here to predict injuries. So I'm thinking the Phillies are going to finish second. Not bad at all. Probably going to be the fourth. Probably going to be the fourth seed going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I also have the Phillies finishing second. The only thing not keeping them as first is the past few seasons. When the teams are fully healthy between the Braves and the Phillies, the Braves kind of are better than the Phillies head to head in the regular season. Postseason's been a different story, which has been unfortunate. But overall, the only reason they are number 2 is because if you look at their head to head in the regular season, the Braves do have a better record when it comes to that. There's not really a hole in the Phillies roster. I do think this is like their last push, I feel, with this core because they are aging. They do have a lot of bad deals. So the salary cap situation, well, not the cap, but like the luxury tax threshold issues and all that. I think this is the last real push Philly can make before the contracts start adding up and age starts kicking in. At first, it's the Braves. When this team is fully healthy, there's a reason they're odds-wise, they're right behind the Dodgers as number 2 for odds to win the World Series. Strider, he'll doing better than they expected, so he'll be back earlier. Acuna will be late May?
Yeah, probably late May.
Yeah, overall the lineup when Austin Riley's healthy, Ozzy's healthy, I just don't see outside of the Dodgers. I don't see a better lineup in the NL.
Yeah, so obviously I got the Braves number 1 as well. I think to me it's all about weathering that early storm because right now you're coming off some injuries last season with Spencer Strider, with Ron Acuna Jr. And you've also got another injury with Sean Murphy and a reliever injury in Joe Jimenez.
Backup catcher.
That's the thing. Sean, he provides you a baseline, but you've got the potential to go a little bit higher with Drake Baldwin, top 100 prospect in the MLB. He could be something really good. He also could flop. Could be set a little bit early for the majors. We'll see how that works. We'll see if Orlando Arcia is still with the team after June as well. Who knows? But just weathering that storm early because you're going to have a spot in right field where you're going to be playing either Jared Kelenic or Brian De La Cruz pretty much every day. And of course, that rotation just isn't quite. It's not there yet. And I think when you add Spencer Strider into that rotation, then it becomes a best rotation in baseball kind of situation because you got the Cy Young winner, you got Spencer Strider, who's hopefully going to be fully healthy. Ronaldo Lopez had one of the lowest ERAs in baseball last year. Spencer Schwellenbach is looking absolutely incredible. And then your fifth spot, I mean, you could have a high upside guy in AJ Smith-Shawver. Maybe Ian Anderson turns it around. Maybe Grant Holmes continues to be fifth starter level. I mean, fifth starter, who cares? Because you're only going to be carrying 4 into the playoffs. And then the bullpen, I know some people have some worries about it. I'm not as worried. I think it'll come around. It'll be fine. We've just been used to having a stacked bullpen that this feels weird. Moving on to the
going back to that bullpen point and like the concerns how you're not worried. The one thing AA has done remarkably well with the Braves is identifying those like bullpen pieces no one really thinks about, and they turn out to be really good. I think that's the one part Braves fans panic about is like we didn't sign the big guy. That's the one thing AA has done really well since he's been the GM of the Braves.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, when we signed a guy by the name of Tyler Matzik, he was a guy that got drafted in the top 10 in the MLB as a starting pitcher, got bounced out because he had yips or whatever he called it, and then was in the Frontier League. and then you sign him. That's a nothing signing, right? But then Game 6 of the 2021 NLCS comes around, and it's no longer a one or a nothing signing. It's an absolutely fantastic signing. So, looking at guys like that, Pierce Johnson made a trade a couple of years ago from the Rockies. If some Rockies reliever, who cares? And then it turns out he's probably our second best pitcher in the bullpen right now. I think you're looking into the bullpen a little bit too much because you don't see 8 setup guys there like we have in the past, and I think it's just a little bit of like we could be quite a little bit better, but we have to splurge a little bit more, and I think it's kind of unnecessary. You know what I mean? NL Central, I've got the Cardinals at number 5. I think this is it for the Cardinals. I mean, obviously I got them 5th. What I mean by that, I think they're going to start selling off some pieces. I do not expect Nolan Arenado to finish the year in St. Louis. I do not expect Wilson Contreras to finish the year in St. Louis. I do not expect Sonny Gray to finish the year in St. Louis. I even don't expect Ryan Helsley to finish the year in St. Louis. And I definitely don't expect Ale Marmol to finish the year in St. Louis. This is a team that has had pieces in the past, and then they let them walk. Or maybe they got frustrated, just didn't play as well, and then they go somewhere else, and they become absolutely fantastic. And I think looking at that, there's a lot of players that could be something better outside of this organization. I think Jordan Walker is a fantastic player that just hasn't worked out yet. And giving him some new grass to play on, a new place to play, would be absolutely great for him. But just overall, on the paper, the team doesn't look that bad, but they never live up to the expectations that they're set for them. And I don't see that changing anytime soon.
So for my 5th place, I actually have the Pittsburgh Pirates. I just outside of Skeens and Jones, which is a great young 1-2 punch. There's nothing on that team that excites me. There's I know what you said about like the young pieces on the Cardinals. I just don't see that there for the Pirates. I think O'Neal Cruz is a little bit like overrated because Brian Hayes hasn't really done anything since 2020. There's outside of Brian Reynolds, who honestly will probably be mentioned in trade talks for another year. Who knows if they do it? There's just nothing on this team that excites me. Then you have their owner saying stuff about the salary cap situation, like all owners do before lockout time, but in lower markets. I just don't see any outside of Skeens and Jones. I just don't see anything like worth talking about with the Pirates. And a 4th, I actually have the Cardinals. I do think they'll sell off pieces. I think overall they're not as bad as people make them out to be. They still have Sonny Gray, who's a really good pitcher. Contreras, Arenado, Walker. The older guys probably will be shipped off. I'm shocked they didn't fire Ollie last year, if you want to be 100% honest. Overall, I think the Cardinals, even with the young guys playing, I still think they're better than the Pirates.
Yeah, for my number 4, I have the Cincinnati Reds. So the Reds could be good this year, but they could have been good last year. A little worried about that rotation, in my opinion. I think some of it just isn't going to live up to what they expect to, even though Hunter Green is a fantastic player. I can't say enough about Hunter Green. Yeah, like the lineup has potential, especially after all the years that they've had with the rookie seasons, like rookie season of Ellie De La Cruz, Matt McClain, Spencer Steer. They all had great years, but that's just kind of Ellie's played good, but they haven't really been able to put that success and translate it into wins. And I don't see that really changing. I think they're a team that's still, like the Nationals, just a year away from really just a year away and a couple more pieces, I think. Some veteran pieces, a veteran bat in this lineup, because if you ask me, they've got Austin Hayes right now slotted to be the cleanup. I just don't think that's that good. I think you could definitely have better bats in there to support this young team, and I don't see it working, really. My number 3 is Pittsburgh Pirates. I know what you said about the lineup, and I kind of agree, even though I think some pieces will work out. Got Tommy Pham leading off, and he had a great season last year. Brian Hayes is just an absolute failure at this point. And they got DJ Stewart. We love DJ Stewart. But to me, where they really stand out is the rotation. Because that rotation is just fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. You got Gaines, you got Mitch Keller. Jared Jones on the IL right now. I don't know when he'll be back. In elbow discomfort. But then you also got Bubba Chandler coming up from the minors. And I think they could just find their way into the playoffs. Not the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs. But kind of like the Mariners to a lesser extent because the division is weaker. They could find themselves into a third place spot looking from the outside, maybe trying to make a next step and get a bat next year to help boost this team. I don't think Brian Reynolds is going to necessarily end up on the trading block. They signed him to a big extension. His trade value is kind of down, not because he's bad, but because he's signed to this long deal, and you don't really want to take a risk just if he starts playing bad somewhere else. This is a team that's weird because I could see them finishing fifth in it, and then I could see them finishing just a game away from making the playoffs. But we'll see. The second place for me is the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers are a fantastic young team, and they're also one of my wildcard teams, by the way. I love their lineup. Love their lineup. Fantastic. It's just set with a bunch of young pieces that I think are going to be great, especially Jackson Chourio. I think he could take that next step and be a part of the MVP voting. Not necessarily in the top 5, but I think he could be definitely in the voting. And of course, you have probably last year the best catcher in baseball, William Contreras, also there. To me, where it gets a little bit of a question mark is when you get into that rotation. Freddie Peralta, absolutely fantastic. He was great. But then you have a guy in Nestor Cortez, who has been good in the past. We cannot forget about that World Series. He was bad. And that I feel like that might carry over into his play of how rough that World Series was for him. I don't see it working there. I think the lineup itself will carry them into the playoffs, but that's really about it.
Okay, so my third place team was the Cincinnati Reds. I love the addition of Terry Francona as their manager. I think that was probably the best hire out of the cycle. The rotation scares me. The lineup, I think they're just the definition of a mid team in my opinion. Like the lineup's good, not great. The rotation could be good, could be decent, could be bad, could go any of those three ways. They're a team I feel that needs just to open up their wallet and just start spending to fix some of these like holes. Second, I had the Cubs. Same old Cubs. The Brewers, every year they do this. I just don't see the Cubs. They're supposed to win this division last year. They didn't. That addition to Kyle Tucker is good, but at the same time, that's 1 year. What they gave up, I didn't. Kyle Tucker's good, but I wouldn't have given that up for 1 year because he's Boris Klein. He's not resigning. The rotation's decent, I guess. The lineup, I just don't see them better than the Brewers because the Brewers find a way to do this every year. Everyone thinks they won't win the division. They somehow win it, and they get some pitcher in that system, turn them good, and they just go run away with it.
Did I do 3 in a row?
Yeah.
Okay, you can go and do your one. I didn't realize.
Well, I just kind of did with the Brewers right there. Like, they just find a way to win it.
Yeah. My number one's the Cubs. This is solely for this is an on-paper team. If they do not win this division, something's got to change.
Council's a fraud.
Council, maybe not the guy, apparently. Because the rotation's good. The lineup is good. You've got 1 year, Kyle Tucker. You gotta make it count. And if you do not win the division, And especially if you do not make the playoffs, then we're going to have real talks of what can you do with this team. It's a tough talk to have, but it's a talk that nonetheless you got to at least try to mention it. My number 5 in the NL West, shocker, shocker, it is the Rockies. I don't think there has ever been, I don't think there's enough that's been said about, there's been plenty said about the Rockies. They suck. They suck. They ruined Chris Bryant, and that's not fun for me. I can't say anything. There's nothing to talk about because they're just bad. They traded Nolan Jones. I thought he was decent. Okay. They got Brendan Doyle, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah, the Rockies, let's be 100% honest. I know Fisher's a horrible owner. If you look top to bottom, the Rockies may be the worst organization in baseball. I don't know how they always manage to find themselves in horrible contracts, with no future whatsoever. I'm just going back. I don't even talk about this current team. This current team sucks. They're a 5th place team. There's no way to sugarcoat it. But the fact that you get rid of Arenado, then not even a year later you sign Bryant, and at the same time you paid a good chunk of Arenado's deal to move him, and you get nothing out of that. How? They just find ways to be incompetent, and it's honestly kind of funny. Going to my number 4 though, this kind of hurts me a little bit. I love this team for a stretch. The Padres, I don't think a lot of those pieces. Well, you're going to have Tatis and Machado still there. You're going to have Merrill still there. I don't think a lot of those rotation pieces will be there by the deadline. It's unfortunate what happened with the owner situation, but at the same time, they don't have the money to pay these guys long term. It makes more sense just to go ahead and get something for them. I do think it's going to be a down year for the Padres, even though they were one of the most fun teams to watch last season.
It's crazy that you say that because I also have the Padres at number 4 in this division. I think really what you said is kind of right. I think Cease is gone by the deadline. I think King could also be gone by the deadline. This is a team, again, on paper, at least they're 1 through 6, with Arias, Tatis, Merrill, Machado, maybe not Cronenworth, but Bogarts. They should be good, and they just they've made the playoffs, they made runs, but they've never done what I expected them to do, and that's at least make one World Series in this entire line, and they haven't. So, I don't expect them to now. To be honest, I think the team's a little weaker than it has been in past, and that wouldn't give me a lot of confidence, especially since I think they got Hayward as a bat now, and Gavin Sheets as a bat that will be prominently featured in their lineup. And, that doesn't do it for me. I'm shocking there. But,
Jason Hayward in the year 2025 doesn't excite you?
Yeah, man. They got Connor Joe, though. I like Connor Joe. Moving on to number 3. It is, for me, the San Francisco Giants. A team that now looks better with a Willy Adames in it. We'll see how he performs in San Francisco because, it might be a struggle hitting that part. But they got a good team. Obviously, Logan Webb, probably the most underrated starting pitcher in the MLB right now. And I know Zach Wheeler is this, but I'm starting to think he might be a little bit, it's just a team from top to bottom that doesn't really go, oh, that's a bad thing to have. They're good. They're fine. They don't have necessarily anything that makes me, outside of Logan Webb, that makes me go, oh yeah, that's incredible. Matt Chapman had a really good year last year. We'll see if that happens again. Some lady from the base said that he's the best third baseman in baseball, and that is just heresy. Overall, I think they're fine, and that's just about it. But they'll just probably be average, maybe get 82 wins or 81 wins.
So I also had the Giants finishing 3rd, but they're also my 3rd wild card team. I like what Buster Posey's doing so far as GM. Great start by him, by the way. Like actually going out and spending money to go get Adamas. I think, like you said, Logan Webb is very underrated. Overall, this lineup, even though they have a bunch of average players, I still think they're somehow a playoff team. I just think the NL, it's more of an indictment on the NL because all the bottom, like the mid-tier teams, all have major flaws. But like two of them are going to get in for the playoffs. So there's really nothing. They'll find a way to get in, I feel. And number two is the Diamondbacks. I love the addition of Corbin Burns to that rotation. Honestly, if they were in any other division, I would probably pick them to win it, but the Dodgers are also in it. So that is the only reason they are not number one. Ketel Marte is also the most underrated player in the MLB, and it annoys me every year.
I absolutely feel that about Ketel Marte. With the Diamondbacks being my number two. Not shocking at all. I love Burns being added to the rotation, like you said. I think that's a really solid rotation. 1-2 punch of Zach Gallen and Corbin Burns. Fantastic. Of course, you got Miracoli in there as well. The bottom of the lineup, we could do better. We could do better, but I think especially adding Josh Naylor as well, I think that's going to do a lot for them. They had Christian Walker last year. He ain't there anymore, but Josh Naylor is a younger guy. I think he can probably have some of his best years in Arizona. I think they will be a wild card team. I have them in my wild card as well. And the number one team in baseball, unfortunately, is the Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't know what to say. This is a team that's, what am I supposed to talk about? They got Ohtani leading off. They've got Freddie in their 3 spot. They got Mookie Betts. They've got Yamamoto, Sasaki, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow. And they got people injured too. So when those people come back that are injured, it might be trouble, Their bullpen stat, their rotation stat, their lineup stat, and at the bottom half is a little, it could be better. It's just, they're going to win it. They're going to win the West easily, probably be number 1 seed heading to the playoffs. Probably best team in the MLB.
Yeah, I mean, they're loaded top to bottom. Not really a hole in this team. There's really nothing you could say. They will be the number 1 seed. It'll be funny if they lose to like a 84 win team with the power of friendship in the playoffs. I think that would just bring me joy. But overall, there's there's no one in this division that can, or in the MLB that on paper has a shot to beat this team.
All right, heading over to the AL East. AL. Number 5, I've got
By the way, before you start this, Ian Anderson's currently pitching with a runner on first and third.
Did he walk them?
He walked one.
I shot somebody out there. Yes. My great strikeout ratio. He didn't walk anybody.
You didn't? Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Get out of here. That was Jesse Chavez. Ian has actually gotten a fielding error from Orlando, a pop out to Orlando, and then a strikeout. My God.
To Orlando.
Yeah, credit Orlando RCA for striking out. Number 5, the Rays. Yeah, they suck. No Shane McClanahan. Boo. Shane McClanahan probably just threw his arm out, and that makes me sad. But I don't know, man. They suck. What do you want me to say? They got some pieces. I like Yandy Diaz. Yandy Diaz is cool. Brendan Lau's cool. Or Lowe, whatever his name is. Caminero is cool. Edwin Uceta. Hey, people called him. Hey, MLB did a list. He was the number 3 best pitcher or reliever in the MLB. Yeah, just not good.
Yeah, for context, Lamar holds the Schroeder list in high regard, as you can tell.
I hate the Schroeder list.
I also agree that the Rays are a last place team. the whole situation, it's not looking good. With I don't think they'll be in Tampa much longer, especially with the stadium deal falling through, the Trop roof situation. They're only playing in the Yankees minor league stadium for 1 year. That's all. The Yankees came out and said, yeah, it's only for 1 year. That's all you got. It's going to be rough next few years for the Rays. It sucks for Shane McClanahan because it looked like he did blow his arm out. He was I wanted the Braves to get him for the longest time. It's going to be rough for the next few years. Number 4, I have the Blue Jays. Please don't pay Vladdy $500 million. All I gotta say. I think this team, they had a bright future back in 2019, 2020. I know that was my first MLB The Show rebuild I fully did back in the day. It's going to be rough. They're probably going to end up trading Bo Bichette. The roster's old. After that Ohtani stuff happened, they just going to be on a downhill slope, and it's kind of been funny. Not going to lie.
My number 4 is also the Blue Jays, and I'm asking them to please sign Vladdy to a $600 million deal. I think it'd be funny. They signed Alexander Kirkbat to a deal. Yeah, it could have been. I don't really know why they did that, but whatever. I don't hate their rotation. I really like Kevin Cosman, even though he didn't have the best years. Jeff Hoffman's their closer. We'll see how that works. A lot of things were
He very much wanted to be a Blue Jay.
Yeah, from the start. Let's start right now. They got Andres Jimenez as their cleanup. Oh God. I think Bo Bichette will probably stay with them throughout the year and then leave in the free agency. I don't know, man. The Blue Jays, they've had a team all the time and then just never did anything. If they do something now, hey, color me surprised. Number 3, I've got the Boston Red Sox. but they're supposed to be really good. Look at the rotation. No. Not the rotation. Look at the lineup. No. Look at the rotation, dadgummit. They got Sean Newcomb. Sean Newcomb. Oh, what do you have against Sean Newcomb? I watch Sean Newcomb pitch. If Sean Newcomb is in your rotation now, Sean Newcomb's 32. 32. He was bad at 26. He was bad at 24. He's going to be bad at 32. You've already got situations where Devers had this whole outbreak of, I don't want to be the DH, I want to be third base. And that ended with him being the DH. Because they're supposed to run out Bregman at third. And it could have been a great situation where you have somebody with a better glove, and that is just a fact. Alex Bregman is a much better defender at third base than Rafael Devers. They splurged for Bregman to make this lineup better. And you had some drama. Guy doesn't want to move over. He was going to ask for a trade out if he didn't get his way. And that's not good, man. That's rough to see and rough to hear. Jarren Duran, love Duran, think he's going to be... Shut up. Think he's going to be a great player again. Casas can bounce back. I think he was injured most of the year last year. We'll see what Trevor Story does. They've got Marcelo Mayer in the waiting, even though Tristan Casas said they need to wait, and I didn't like that either. I think either Chapman or Hendricks is going to be the closer, which is interesting. Yeah. Florida just beat UConn. It's shocking. I don't think I go again. You go.
Yeah. So 3rd, I also have the Red Sox. I love the addition of Crochet. If he could fully stay healthy, then the issue you're going to have with that, though, he's going to want an extension. It came out yesterday that they were far apart on extension talks. And he has made no effort in being quiet last year, saying he won't pitch in the playoffs if they didn't give him an extension for whoever got him. And the White Sox, for whatever reason, didn't trade him during the deadline, which I thought they could have got more for, especially considering how the MLB was pitching-wise at the deadline last year. Overall, this team has made a lot of noise for a team that didn't need a lot of noise. They've done nothing to warrant talking as much as they did. Bregman, it's an okay signing. Bregman peaked years ago, I feel. I never understood the decision to try to play him at second when he's clearly the better third baseman. Devers he's horrible defensively. Let's be 100% honest. I don't see the situation getting any better just because they are making a lot of noise for a team who has done nothing. Second, keep in mind I've had none of these teams in the playoffs. I do not have the Yankees in the playoffs as my second place team. Cole being out is bad for them. Gil being out, you can say whatever you want to about Gil. Him being out hurts. You're looking at a situation where Carlos Rendon could be your opening day starter because I know they didn't want to push Max Fried up with spring training starts and all that, which I didn't get, but cool, whatever. You're going to have back-to-back lefties, then 3 righties in a row. Isn't that how it's going to look rotation-wise?
For the Yankees?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're leading off with Rodon, and then they're going into Fried. So that's 2 lefties. And then right now, I think they've got Stroman, some other guy, and Carlos Carrasco. And they were all righties last time I checked. Well, the other guy was all righty as well, so I know the other 2 are. Lucas Hill, whatever his name is, should be back at some point in the season. Garrett Cole's gone. Clark Smith's gone. Or no, Clark Smith should be back as well, so the rotation should get a little bit better, but overall, are you...
Yeah, with that lineup, it's Aaron Judge, Jason Dominguez. I almost said Carlos Dominguez because I got him and Rendon combined them.
Hey, you've got it backwards. It's Austin Wells.
Oh my, okay. Yeah, Austin Wells is looking like their leadoff hitter according to Twitter. That's
he
not
is
good.
Their leadoff hitter.
Jason Dominguez, prospect for like the 18th year in a row. Outside of Judge, there's nothing in that lineup that really like stands out or excites me. I just don't see him being a playoff team this year. I see him taking a step back. Yeah, I do think it's funny Yankees fans have to remember that 5th inning forever. Also going into that, Ian allowed a single to Jackson Holiday that scored a run and walked Jorge Mateo.
Whoa. Why are you bringing this fake news? Listen, the inning would have been over if Arcia would have made that play, so it's no earned runs. And I was right, baby. No earned runs. The ERA stays intact. Strider's got a 4.5 and Ian's got 2.5. Anyways, my number 2 is also the Yankees. I have them being a wildcard team, just because. Probably. Actually, they're not a wildcard team. I'll take that back. I forgot someone else. When you're leading off Austin Wells, I'm not going to pick you. I think there's better lineup construction there. Aaron Judge, of course. He's reigning AL MVP, one of the better players in the league, and just, whatever. Rotation, I've got questions about it. I think it took a huge hit, obviously, when Cole got hurt. But in overall, it wasn't that great. It wasn't that great to begin with. I think they were overrated from the start. Made the World Series last year, and they lost a couple of pieces. Yeah. And plus, making the World Series... Alright, let's get this out of the way. Making the World Series does not make you a great team the next season automatically. Remember, the Rangers were in the World Series in last 2023, and the Diamondbacks. The Rangers won the World Series. Neither of those teams made the playoffs next year. So, that does not mean that you were automatically going to be good the next year. Number 1, I got the Orioles. I think that we've slept on the Orioles, even though their rotation, it's like, it scares me. I think Grayson Rodriguez can come back and have a great year, though. What I really want to focus in, though, and what I think will get them over the hump and make them a great team is that lineup. Now, Gunnar Henderson is out for a couple of weeks to start spring training, but even missing him, you got Colton Cowser, you got Adley Rutschman, you got Ryan Mountcastle, you got Jordan Westburg, Tyler O'Neill. We'll see if Jackson Holiday does anything this time. You got really good pieces that I think are going to be great for them. And and for the Orioles in the long run, I think I just think the Orioles are going to win the division. That's just it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I agree. That lineup's really good. Rotation is scary. I've seen Charlie Morton pitch last year. Didn't really get that signing, if you want to be 100% honest. It's going to be a work in progress with the rotation, but I just feel like lineup wise, they're in a more stable spot than the Yankees and the Red Sox, who are the only two teams who I feel could challenge them in that division. Um, Overall, still a really good team. The core is really good. Just need to find a way to add a starter.
You want to go and do number 5 for the AL Central?
Okay. Yeah, so number 5 for the AL Central, if you can believe it, I'm picking the Chicago White Sox.
No way.
It's not a major league team. It's a disgrace that they are that bad. I guess I know some of their fans took pride in the fact that they were the worst team in MLB history last season. Kind of blows my mind in that. It kind of blows my mind too that the Braves lost the series to them last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing on this team outside of Lou Bob that's worth anything, I feel. Oh boy, it's going to be another rough year. Do you think they can top that the number of losses from last year? Because they've done absolutely nothing.
Yes. They can absolutely top that number. This team is terrible. And you said they got nothing outside of Lou Bob? He's not even that good. He's taking a much step back. They had Crochet last year. They ain't got Crochet. No, it's Sean Burke. Maybe Sean Burke's good. I don't know. They got Mike Clevenger as their closer. That's my number 5. I'm not talking about it because there's nothing to talk about. They have not done. We have put more effort into their team than their front office has this offseason. Just talking about it for the last minute. I bet their front office did nothing because they know they ain't got to do nothing.
That's not even the worst part. They couldn't even get the number 1 pick. They're stuck at 10.
Wait, why are they stuck at 10?
Let me find it. Let me find the reasoning.
While you do that, I'm going to go ahead and go into my number 4, and I have got the Minnesota Twins. This is nothing against the Minnesota Twins. I think the division 1 through 4 is actually could just be swapped out. Either way, I always got concerns with Buxton because I don't think he'll ever, play a full season or even 3/4 of a season. This is more just a comparison thing. I just think in that division they're the 4th best team, and I think that's pretty much all I've got. Joe Ryan could be breakout. Of course, Royce. It would be different if I had Royce Lewis. I'll say it. If Royce Lewis I could believe him to stay healthy, then maybe, but I can't trust him to stay healthy. So I'm gonna doubt it until it happens.
Okay, so they have the 10th pick because they get revenue sharing dollars, and if you get those, you cannot have consecutive lottery picks. So they stuck at number 10 because they had a top 10 pick last year, and they get revenue sharing because they're a small market. This was all decided in the new CBA. So there you go, White Sox fans. It's going to be rough. I agree with number 4. It will be the Twins. That team, honestly, outside of Pablo Lopez, it's just what if they all stayed healthy one year? The issue is they hadn't stayed healthy. Buxton, I feel at this point, you're not getting much out of him. As much as it sucks, as great as he could have been, like I said, what if he stayed healthy? It's not realistic. Royce Lewis is out for the year. That's a major blow. If he also could stay healthy a full year, I don't see them doing anything. I don't see them, like we said, we hate saying it. I just don't think they'll be healthy a full year. Again. That's my go again, isn't it? 3 in my third wildcard team, I have the Detroit Tigers. I love the addition of them getting Flaherty back with that rotation. I do wish they added another bat in the offseason because I feel like, well, they kind of did with Glaber. Overall, if you look at it, Glaber was just a name because he played on the Yankees, I feel. I wish they would have spent more and got a bigger name bat in the offseason. But overall, I still think they're a really good team. They were really fun to watch in the playoffs last year. Took down the Astros. Who they lose to? They lost to the Guardians, right?
Tigers?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember the second series they played, it was wildly entertaining. Emmanuel Clase's interest in the last game of that series was great, by the way.
Wait, the Tigers?
Yeah.
I think the Tigers lost to the Astros.
No, they knocked out the Astros in the wild card.
Okay, yeah, my bad. They beat the Astros, and they lost to the Guardians. That sound right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's.
But for the Tigers, it was the experience here last year. I think they'll get back to it. I think Riley Green will jump into MVP conversations this year. But yeah, they're still a really good team.
Number 3 for me, Guardians. Whoa, what a shocker. No, like legitimately. I think trading Josh Miller was a mistake. I know he's got a contract coming up, but sometimes you just gotta spend that money, man. Santana's a good fielder. He's the best first baseman fielding wise in the MLB last year. I don't know, man. I'm not as big on the rotation. I think their bullpen is still like absolutely insane. I don't know if Lane Thomas is going to be as good as he was last year. J Ram up there with with oh my gosh, Ketel Marte is one of the most underrated players in the MLB. I just don't see the Guardians doing what they did last year, and that's for that reason I've got them at 3. My number 2 is the Kansas City Royals. It might be a little shocking once we get to the awards that they're number 2. Because they got Bobby Witt. And Bobby Witt is really good. Let's look at Jonathan India. We're not going to talk about him because we hate him. Rotation's good. Lineup's fine for the most part. I think the bullpens could be better. But this is a team that's young. They've got every right to make another jump. I've got the Guardians in them as a wild card in the AL. I don't know. I think they could also make a run, but we'll see.
At 2, I also have the Royals. Bobby Witt's really good. Cole Reagans, I feel, is a very underrated ace. Past that, like I said, for this division, you can make a case for all these teams. I wish they added more in the offseason because I feel after a good year last year, that's what I think the Braves did really well is they added like veteran pieces. I just don't think the Royals or the Tigers did that this offseason. But Bobby Witt's still really good and has a really good chance to win NL or AL MVP. I have the Guardians win the division. J Ram is the most underrated player in the MLB outside of Ketel Marte. Outside of Ketel Marte.
I'm calling everybody the most underrated player in the MLB.
That rotation, they just always find ways to develop good starters. I think Shane Bieber comes back this year, has a really good year.
He's got 25 clutch in this show. I don't like it.
Clase, I'll say, is the best closer in the MLB, and that's not up for debate. Overall, I think they'll make another run in the AL with the potential to get the World Series. You can make a case out of all I think they will end up in the World Series also in the AL.
Really? I mean, that's not crazy. Hey, my number 1 is the Tigers. I love the Tigers. I always have loved the Tigers. Back in the day when we did these predictions, I picked the Tigers to make the playoffs, and
I
then they
signed
were
Javi Baez,
horrible.
and you had him winning 90 games.
They were horrible, man. Oh my gosh. It was so sad. But now, I'm going back at it. I don't have them making the World Series, but I have them win the division. Love Riley Green, Tariq Screwball, Cy Young winner. Jackson Joby, Jad Flaherty. I think there's some names to mention as well. I'm a fan of the team, man, and I think they're going to do some things this year and win this division. Moving on to the last division, got the AL West. I just realized that I didn't write this team. I just wrote one of their players for some reason. I've got number 5, the Angels, or as I call them in my sheet, Mike Trout, which is super symbolic of how I feel about this team. I did not mean to do that at all. Mike Trout's he's he's weird because I think he could still be a top player if he stays healthy. But good lord, it's hard to keep him healthy. The irritation sucks. I'll say it. Their bullpen also sucks. Their lineup. You got Taylor Ward. You got Mike Trout. Logan O'Hoppe. I like a Logan O'Hoppe. I think Zad Netta's hurt. Anthony Nolan's hurt. Shocker. They suck. I'm just not a fan. Not a fan. They're probably going to carry Tim Anderson. They're probably going to carry J.D. Davis. Almost said J.D. Vance. I'm just not a fan of this team. And hopefully Mike Trout comes to his senses and says, I want to be on a different team. And if that happens, I wonder if he can play shortstop.
Yeah, we hate Orlando Arcia here. Horrible person. I also agree though, the Angels are our last place team. Trout, I hate to say it, like I said for the Twins, I don't think you're getting 150 games out of them. For being 100% honest. I like Ron Washington, but I don't think the Angels are a good team whatsoever. I know basically it's Wash Braves, AAA essentially. I view them nothing more than a last place team. I picked the Angels to win the division for years in a row for whatever reason. By the way, off topic, the Nationals' new City Connect jerseys are horrible, and they should have kept the old ones.
They are horrible. I love the other ones.
In fourth place, I have the insert city name here, A's. They finally, I kind of hate it for Oakland fans that they just kind of spent money once they left. It was John Fisher is a horrible owner, but overall there are some nice pieces on this team. Severino didn't understand the signing, but you know what? It's better than what they had. Brent Rucker's still really good. Their second baseman, I can never say his last name. Who is it?
Zach Galov.
Yeah, I can never say that last name for whatever reason.
Yeah, you know what?
He's one of the best second basemen in MLB if you look based off last season. I just still think they're years away. I still don't think that Vegas stadium will happen, but it's beyond the point.
Yeah. I wrote in Oakland. My bad. Number 4, I've got the Athletics. Lawrence Butler. Hey, we like Lawrence Butler. Brent Looker, super underrated. Severino's their opening day guy. Their ace. That's not bad. Jeffrey Springer, or not Springer, Springs, looked insane until he had Tommy John. I think he could be pretty good. Mason Miller, their closer. Not a bad bullpen. I think their lineup is actually super underrated as well. It does suck that they moved from Oakland. I don't think they're going to Vegas. They're going to, I don't know, anywhere else. But yeah, man. I don't know, man. I hate that they're just the Athletics. They should be called Sacramento because that really makes me mad. Number 3, I've got the Mariners. What a great rotation they have. Am I right, guys? All right, let's look at the lineup. Oh, that's not good. They have a bad lineup. They can't get hits. T-Mobile Park is a hitter's park, or is it not? Sorry, it's not a hitter's park. It for sure is not a hitter's park. It is a pitcher's park, and that is obvious. But that does not excuse the reason of not going to get a bat. Until the Mariners add a bat or two, they will not be making the playoffs. So that's just how I believe. And they might have to give up one of these starting pitchers for a really good bat. And I know they don't want to, but sometimes we gotta do stuff we don't want to. You know, you can't have 5 aces. I'm sorry, alright? You gotta give up one of them. And it's not gonna hurt you that much. But yeah, Mariners number 3.
I agree. Mariners 3. That rotation, best in baseball. You can't argue otherwise. Outside of J-Rod, who somehow I feel is a garbage time player, a garbage time merchant, if that makes any sense. That last month when he gets great numbers. Before that, he kind of sucks. Most overrated player in baseball, I may add. You're going to have to trade one of the pitchers to get a bat. I trust them the most developing pitchers. I just don't trust them getting a hitter. I just until they're serious about that, there will continue to be like this mediocre team that gets carried by rotation. My second place team, I hate to do it. I hate this team with a passion. I hate the fact that I have them in the playoffs. It is the Texas Rangers. They're a good team when they're healthy. If they're not, you have the outcome of last year. I absolutely hate the fact that they are a decent team on paper. I hate this team with a passion. And I genuinely wish them nothing but the worst. But I think they will be a playoff team.
You're a D1 hater. My number 2 is the Houston Astros. They're one of my wildcard teams. They're definitely taking a step back this year. Their outfield, oh my. Jose Altuve is not a left fielder. I'll say it once and I'll say it again because apparently this has to be something that we learned. Jose Altuve, not a left fielder, not an outfielder. He's gonna be playing bad out there. And when he does play bad, let's knock that shot. His bat will still play. His glove will not. If you knew that you were going to be in this predicament when you made that Kyle Tucker trade, then ask for an outfielder. You could have gotten Seiya if you asked. You could have gotten Bellinger if you asked. I like Isaac Paredes as much as the Nets guy. You could have gotten one of them if you just asked. Why do you got to play Cam Smith in right field too? He's a third baseman. This is an Austin Riley situation. Except the third baseman that you got can play technically second base. Whatever. Astros 13 is always going to be in the playoffs for me. I just don't think they're nowhere near as good as they have been in past this year. So yeah, they're my number 2. And my number 1, out of spite, is the Texas Rangers. No, I like the Rangers. I think they're really good. I think top to bottom, outside of Jonah Heim, that's a joke. If none of you understand that, it's fine. They're really good. Nathan Eovaldi. Love Nathan Eovaldi. Fantastic, man. They got Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker in the rotation this year. That should be fun. I remember that from the old Vanderbilt days. That was not fun. DeGrom's back as well. This is a team that could be really, really good. And I mean, they could be the best team in the American League. I think it's going to end up being the Orioles. But there's a lot of spots for any teams to break out this year.
I have the Astros win this division out of spite. I hate the Rangers with a passion. Yeah, I can't tell you a single thing about Houston that they did good this offseason if you want to be 100% honest, but I hate the Rangers. So I have the Astros winning this division.
All right, here's your World Series. Mine is the Orioles over the Dodgers.
I have the Guardians over the D-backs.
Cool. That's all we got there. Going into the awards now. I was gonna do a playoff thing, but nah. We've got a couple awards. We got MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Years. We'll just each of us will name ours and we'll keep going because I don't think there's a lot to talk about there. AL MVP for me is Bobby Witt. Bobby Witt is really good. He could have won it last year if it wasn't for Judge having an absolutely great year. If they counted the postseason, I bet he would have won it because people would have fallen off the Judge after that drop. But I think this is Bobby Witt's year. I think he can win multiple. He's one of those players that could be generational talent. And for the NL MVP, you've got Ohtani. Even if he isn't as good as he was last year, he's going to continue to get those votes. Until someone does beat Ohtani, I'm going to keep picking Ohtani. So.
I'm with you on NL Ohtani. He's going to pitch some this year too, so I feel like if he's somewhat decent pitching, he's going to have the hitting stats to win it. They're going to find ways to give him votes. It's going to take a special, like, Acuna 40-70 season. I know Shohei wasn't in the NL when that happened, but it's going to take a season like that to take votes away from him. In the AL, I have Jose Ramirez. It's time he wins one. He's had seasons where he's deserved them. It's time he wins one. And with the Yankees, I see the Yankees having a down year. I feel this is a prime opportunity for him to win it. Want me to get for Cy Young?
Go ahead.
NL, I have Paul Skeens. He's really good. They found ways to give him Cy Young votes last year, and he didn't even start the year in the MLB. There was no way you could put him over Sale or Wheeler. They'll find a way to give him to him, and in typical fashion, have Zach Wheeler finish second for that award, because that's just a yearly thing now. In the AL, I have George Kirby. Honestly, you can insert any Mariners pitcher here. I think one of the three will win it, probably. I just picked Kirby because I think he's the best of the three.
Who's your National League? I'm sorry?
Skeens.
My National League is Corbin Burns. Burns has won one before. I think he's won one. Has he won two? It's just been one, right?
I think it's been one, yeah.
Okay. Burns is really excellent. I think he's going to be one of the main reasons why the Diamondbacks are so good this year, just in my opinion. Yeah, this guy's great. And in the AL, I've got Cole Reagans. I think, shoot, man, the Mariners. When you look at wins and losses, I'm joking. So that means that I have a Royals winning the MVP and the Cy Young. Cole Reagans is super good. It could also just be Tariq again. Repeats happen. Tariq was really good. We'll see how it works out. For my Rookie of the Years, the American League, I'm going with Jackson Jobe. Tigers pitcher. I like Jackson Jobe. This is just I like this guy. I think he'll be good pick. And for the National League, I've got a pitcher. It's AJ Smith-Shawver. It's not Rookie, because they did that last year with Yamamoto, and I picked Yamamoto, and then Yamamoto lost. Now, of course, it was because Paul Skeens, but hey, maybe AJ can do that this year. I don't know. We'll see.
Our ALs are the same. I feel he'll jump to that number 3 behind Skubal and Flaherty and fit in perfectly for the Tigers. In the NL, I do have Roki just because they will find ways to give him votes. Because Yamamoto still got votes somehow last year with Skeens. So I don't see a way they don't try to give it to him. He's going to be on the Dodgers, so he's going to have the record, and the team's going to be good, so he's going to get recognition, of course. I just don't see a way they don't give it to him. And my manager of the year for NL, I have Bob Melvin of the Giants. I picked this guy every year he was on the Padres. Never worked out, but third time's the charm. And for the AL, I have Stephen Vogt of the Guardians. I just kind of picked one. AL manager. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't do too much thinking into it.
I did not put much thought into it either. AL's AJ Hinch of the Tigers. NL is Tori Lavulo of the Diamondbacks. That's really it. I ain't got much. And for Braves now, we've got a couple of Braves categories that we can put out, or that we have. We've got the Position Player of the Year, Pitcher of the Year, the Breakout Player, and someone that's going to be on the Braves that isn't currently on the Braves, and no, Jesse Thomas doesn't count anymore. my position player of the year is Matt Olson. It's odd year. I think Matt Olson is going to finish top 3 in MVP voting. I don't think he's going to win it, but I think he'll finish top 3. I think he'll lead the MLB in home runs. Odd year Matt Olson is a weird thing, but it works, and you know what? That's awesome. I'll go and do my pitcher as well. I've got Spencer Strider. I know Chris Sale is also on this team, but I think Strider is going to have an absolutely fantastic season. The only thing that's going to hold him back is, coming back from Cy Young, or not Cy Young, from Tommy John, 2 different pitchers. I think Strider could be absolutely fantastic.
So my hit MVP will be Austin Riley. I feel after seeing all the people that forgot he was a really good third baseman, because he was ranked like 5th in some ranking third baseman. I just fully healthy. I just don't see a way he doesn't bounce back and have a huge year. Pitching wise, I actually have Spencer Schwellenbach as the MVP. Strider's going to get his recognition. Sale's going to have his recognition, but I think a full season of Schwellenbach pitching, and having a a good bit of MLB experience now, learning how to read lineups and stuff like that, I think he's going to take off and get Cy Young votes this year. So for breakout, I actually have AJ Smith-Shawver, who I don't know if he'll make the rotation out of spring training. I personally would put him in there over Ian Anderson and Grant Holmes. But I think this is a situation where he's only 22. He got called up at 20. The potential's there. I think he's going to take off in a big way if he's on the opening day rotation. And future Brave, rotation's not the biggest thing, but I just kind of went out on a limb. I said Sandy Alcantara because I think the Marlins are a dysfunctional organization with no future whatsoever. They traded Jesus Luzardo to the Phillies, so they have no issue trading in the division. Alcantara's cheap and has a mediocre start to the year. That's a player I think the Braves would 100% try to get.
Yeah, my breakout player of the year is also AJ Smith-Shawver. I already picked him at Rookie of the Year. I don't think there's much explaining there. Many players, Paul Sewald, reliever. That's really my thought was. It could be any reliever. This is impossible to guess, but if we do guess it, it'd be kind of fun. So there are our 2025 MLB predictions. We'll be putting out, hopefully, an episode every single week about something with the Braves. I don't know if we'll get one next Sunday, just because opening day. We'll see. Be on the lookout for the weekly updates on your TikTok or YouTube Shorts, or wherever you get that kind of. That's actually the only 2 platforms. I'll be doing those again. I love that stuff. It was really fun to do last time. Because you got to see how Marcell Ozuna became the worst MLB player and then worst Braves player and became the best Braves player, because I almost named an award after him, and that award was the worst of the week. But that is everything we got. Please, do all that stuff. I don't know what to say. Yeah, you can catch all of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you for watching.